Welcome to the Moon Tribe podcast. I'm Simona your host. I'm here to inspire heart-led entrepreneurs and conscious leaders to follow their purpose and create a life of freedom, wealth, and magic. Welcome to the Moon Tribe podcast with me, Simona Shimanovic. In our very first episode last time, I shared with you about how I got started in business and why I created Moon Tribe. And today I want to share with you a little bit more about my journey as an entrepreneur and how I overcame the biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur. Because I've been in business since 2011, so it's 13 years now. And it's been quite a ride. Any one of you who has been in business for some time, maybe you resonate. Let me know. I would love to hear it. Because what I've learned as an entrepreneur is that success is anything but a straight line from A to B. Sometimes we have this idea, it's like direct. And actually, it's way more like a roller coaster ride with twists and turns and a lot of unexpected events. So your ability to hang in there, whatever happens, and don't lose your direction is really essential. There's a reason why they say being in business is the best personal development seminar on the planet. I fully subscribe to this. And that's also one of the reasons why I love helping conscious entrepreneurs to start their business, to grow their business, because it involves so much inner work and personal development. And it really asks us to step up and own our power in a completely new way. So for me, it's really about the person you become in the process. So let's take a look at my 3 biggest challenges of being in business and how I overcame them. Some are, of course, still, it's a daily overcoming, right? It doesn't really end. But what I can say, especially in the beginning, in the early stages, one of the first roadblocks I bumped up against was about releasing control. And to be honest, it's still an ongoing journey, even though I feel I've come a long way. But especially in the beginning, I was really operating in the mess. I was used to pushing and forcing in a way of working that I was used to from the corporate world. That's how everybody was working. When I started my own business, it got me to a place where I was really stressed out and overwhelmed. I was overworking and I had this never ending to-do list. I woke up feeling overwhelmed and was working long hours and just got myself to being exhausted. And there was a time when I was actually in Bali and I was in this beautiful environment. And still I was on this project and I had this kind of idea that I had to launch something. And I was really working myself nearly into the ground. So I was close to a burnout. I got myself close to a burnout. And that was then also when I hired my first coach, luckily, and joined my first group coaching program, because that really helped me to change the direction, because I was just bumping my head against the wall and I wasn't going anywhere. So for me, that has been really one of the biggest challenges. And it's been a process of letting go of all the old conditioning that was kind of in my system. And I think a lot of the corporate world is working in this way, right? So often that's what we've learned. And then you become an entrepreneur and you're like working in the same way, but actually it's not really the most expansive. It's not the most joyful. It's not serving you in the best way. And So I started asking myself, like, why am I doing it like this? This is my business. I'm the boss, right? So there was a huge mindset shift to actually ask myself if I can make the rules the way I want it, if this business is supposed to serve me, how should it look like? So that's been a big one. And yeah, also I can definitely say I'm a recovering perfectionist. I shared my moon is in Virgo. Any Virgos out there, hello. I'm a Capricorn. So, this is definitely a big part of my journey. Letting go of the perfectionism, recovering control freak, and really allowing myself to be more supported, to trust, to let it be easy. So I have a lot I want to share with you on this. Another part of releasing control is about releasing the timeline. And that is about letting go of control that things need to show up in the way we want them. So sometimes we set goals and we have these ideas that it has to be like this. But in my own journey as an entrepreneur and in life, I can actually say that when I'm in a more playful mood, when I'm in a more lighter frame of mind, when I'm having more fun, the manifestations can show up much easier than if I'm really attached and trying to control. So I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but for me, this aspect of releasing control, being in the flow, has been a big one. The second challenge that I really experienced in my business was around rebirthing myself and letting go of what I've built. That was hard. And I remember when I moved to Amsterdam, my business actually completely changed. It kind of happened in a way. Organically, it wasn't really planned, but still I had spent a lot of time and money and energy into building the first form of my business of Moon Tribe as an ethical clothing brand. And I had a lot of resistance of actually letting it go, even though I didn't have the time and energy to keep it going. It was not really working. I had to let it go. And I remember my resistance to actually take down the website, close the website, which I had spent hours and hours and, put a lot of love into it. But what I learned is that sometimes there's a stage in our business, and when it's not working anymore, we have to let it go. We have to rebirth it. So I started to understand that I need to trust that Moon Tribe, as a conscious movement, needs to evolve. It needs to have another form. There's another form coming through. Another form wants to come through me to be birthed into the world. And actually, this new version of Moon Tribe required me to be much more in the spotlight through coaching, through speaking, through teaching yoga, hosting moon circles. It was much more me actually working together and connecting with people. And nowadays I'm so happy. I absolutely love it. But that was the second challenge, rebirthing my business and letting go of what I've built. The third challenge, and it's an ongoing one. I'm sure most entrepreneurs will probably agree with this one, especially in the times we're in, especially, after the last years we've just been through, is about developing resilience. I think resilience in business is such a big one. I can do probably a few episodes about this topic alone. But it basically comes down to the principle, which is that as entrepreneurs, we enjoy the freedom. We choose a life of freedom. And it does come also with taking more risks. People who choose to be in a job, in a 9-to-5 job, there's a perceived security. And I also want to say perceived security, because I believe that in the end, there is no such thing as security. But there's a bit more, let's say, predictability in selling your time and working for an employer. So as an entrepreneur, we have more risks. We have to learn to deal with uncertainty. And that can take so many forms and shapes, right? But just the unexpected situations in life that can throw you off from a personal level, right? All the things that can throw you off personally, to bigger things that are happening maybe in your country or internationally or globally. At the moment, we had quite a lot of global situations that were probably unexpected for most of us, like the prolonged lockdowns that affected so many businesses, the economic situation, etc. So we have to be able to deal with uncertainty and develop the resilience to move through it. That's not so easy. At least for me, this has not been so easy. And I can really see the value of it. Because I believe a big part in business is actually just staying in the game. You know, there's this saying, the person who is successful is the one who gets up over and over and over again, whereas others have already given up. So I think that is part of it. And I don't believe that it happens very frequently that there are these overnight successes. I think often people have already in the background prepared for a long time, and then suddenly they have the breakthrough. So I believe that it does take persistence. It does take resilience. You need to keep an eye on the prize. Something that luckily as a Capricorn is helpful. You have to keep showing up consistently. And you have to stay in the game when things get tough. And they do, right? So for me, and I will speak more to that, this is really about when we need to be deeply connected to our why. Why are we doing this? Why does it matter? So developing the right resilience has definitely been a challenge and is an ongoing challenge. But you know, most of these things is like a muscle. You get better the more you do it. So these were my 3 biggest challenges. Looking back, it's around releasing control, rebirthing my business and letting go of what I've built, and developing resilience for being in business. I'd love to hear your insights. Just drop me a message on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And meanwhile, please remember to share your magic. Thank you for listening to the Moon Tribe podcast with me, Simona Shimanovic. I'd love to share my free abundance meditation with you. Go to simonashimanovic.com and join the tribe.